An introduction to the 1620s garden. For most of the past 400 years, the 1620s house and garden was a working farm with several outbuildings, cobbled and bricked yards, and stone walls surrounding it. During the period of dereliction and refurbishment of the house in the 1960s, the grounds were a rubble-strewn wasteland with large scarred areas where barns had been demolished. The only remnant of the original garden features is a couple of old pear trees inside the bend of Manor Road, which are the last survival of an orchard which the local children used to scrumpy from. Once refurbished by the county council, the grounds were laid out in a rather institutional way, more like a park. The foundations of the gardens which we enjoy today were laid in the early 1990s, with the yew hedges and a series of new beds being created to form a suitable setting for the wonderful historic building, and to show the style of gardens developed in the 17th century by a wealthy landowning family. The garden is segmented into several carefully designed areas, almost like rooms of a house, and subsequent videos will discuss each one in turn. Throughout the 90s and noughties, a gardener from the Country Parks team was assisted by a small number of volunteers and members of the Friends of Donington in developing and maintaining the gardens. An important role taken on by members of the Friends was to research and create a series of informative labels for every plant in the garden. When the gardener left, the garden care was picked up by the Friends group. In 2015, the site underwent a transformation into a living, breathing Jacobean home with accompanying garden, and a dedicated volunteer team was set up, which included some of those who had supported the garden since the mid-90s. As part of the 1620s project, the gardens received an overhaul, pulling out anything that postdated the 1620s, which of course involved a lot more research. The only area to avoid this was the orchard, which was well established, and although it contains some later varieties, they are all traditional and local. The labels have been updated several times and now include relevant quotes from Shakespeare and plant wisdom from the 17th century. The members of the garden volunteer team have used their combined historical knowledge, gardening skills, and huge energies to redevelop all areas of the garden, creating several new beds and a beautiful and stimulating resource for all who visit at whatever time of year they come. The majority of the funding for the gardens has come from the Friends of the 1620s House and Garden, for which we are most grateful.